I have two stories in the last week of just miracles. For probably the last 10 years, my family has ministered to the fatherless in the respect that we help churches learn how to care for the fatherless. And last April, I was at a conference in Kentucky or Nashville, and God told me it was time to not go to the churches, but go to the street kids. So I answered that, and within 2 weeks, a wealthy person God told me what to do, but I didn't have the resources to do it. So within 2 weeks, God showed up with a wealthy person, provided around $300,000 in assets, 11 acres of property. So that was just a year ago. So he's done miracles every week. And just in the last week, so we help these street kids, or kids that are they're in the foster care system sort of, but they don't have a family, so they'll be on the street soon. And we give them we have a retreat center where they can stay for a while, and our goal is to connect them to the church. But not necessarily to have to do that by having a church building. Just be the church. And so one of our street kids, let's call him Donald Duck. Hopefully I'll remember not to use his real name. But so Donald Duck, he's with us for a while, and then he's back on the streets. He's with us for a while. He's back on the streets. So we haven't seen him in a while. We've heard he was beat up pretty bad and whatnot. But he shows up last week, and my partner bought him lunch. And he had some unpaid civil infractions he just didn't pay the fine in 2 different counties. So he owed $1,001, and he was going to go to jail if he couldn't pay the fine. And of course, he has nothing. So, thank you. So my partner bought him lunch and told him, you need to turn yourself in, go to jail for 30 days. It's the right thing to do. But let's see how much money you have in your savings account. So they went to the bank and checked it out. He had $0 in his savings account. But when we first met him, we give these boys jobs, which, they can keep for a few weeks at a time. But we make them put half their money into an account, a special account. And that happened a year and a half ago, no, it wouldn't have been a year and a half ago, but about a year ago that we did that. And so after lunch, my partner thought of checking that account, which really should have no money in it based on Donald's choices. But it turns out he owed $1,001, and when they checked the account after lunch, he had $1,001 in the account. So that really increased Donald's faith that he could come back to the church and get an answer to prayer like that. And we spent the weekend with him. We were out at Camp Geneva, and some people took him tubing on Lake Michigan. We spent the whole weekend with him. He's still homeless, but he comes back and he's connected to the church, and God works in his life. So the second thing that happened, and he's also involved a little bit in this story, is God showed me about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, on our property, we needed a chapel in the woods, a big cross and a place to meet for worship. And we already have a building for that, but God was showing me something in the woods. And 3 days before God made it all happen, he had a youth group from another state contact me, and they wanted to come to a mission trip. I don't know these people, and they don't know me. 3 or 4 days later, they came, 30 people, built us a chapel in the woods. It's just amazing. And I was at work. They just came and did it. And then I showed up after work, and I'm standing there at this, and we're all giving thanks because it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful what they did in 3.5 hours. And there's Donald standing next to me. I don't know how he got there, but there he is. Haven't seen him in months. I gave him a big hug, but it was just the second way that just in the last week that God showed up and did a miracle. And he's done that week after week after week. It's just amazing. So, if God calls you to do something, if he calls you to be a missionary, even close to home, I just want to give you the faith that he's going to provide everything you need.